And we're live. Hello, everyone. It's Mike Brock joining you from Los Angeles again. Third day in a row. I'm going to try and do this at 4 p.m. every day from now on for as long as the electricity is still operating in Los Angeles. It's a chance to share my thoughts. It's a chance for you to hear them. Dialogue. How about that? Okay. So, um, I wanted to talk about a few things today. Um, I'm gonna venture into some dangerous territory, which is like, the domain of some of my like personal relationships. I'm not gonna throw anyone under the table, but I'm gonna sort of contour, some of the kind of the way that I experience the world, right? In my world, and I refer to this like quite a bit, like in my writing. I have people in my life that actually think I'm positively insane. I mean, there are people that like know me and love me. They think I'm quite literally off my rocker, you see, because I mean, they think maybe I'm taking this politics a little bit too seriously. That, even if I am right about everything, everything is bullshit. And so involving yourself in such a way with such seriousness is really perhaps maybe it's a little bit too obsessive, maybe. So there's this sort of like perspective of some people in my life that like look at me and they're like, well, I mean, this look is this curious. He seems to have become unhinged in some way. So I experienced that in my life. And it's quite a thing to sort of have to sort of sit on the other side of too. I mean, because like, I recognize that certain people like love me and care about me and then think that of me, and I have to kind of like see through that. I mean, I can't. It's hard to communicate with such a person from such a vantage, quite frankly. Because I mean, one when one sees the world with such a different perspective, like when I mean I'll let you decide. I mean, I'm streaming live to the internet. If any of you are professional mental health experts, but I give you permission to submit a public mental health diagnosis on Mike Brock. I mean, I know that it goes against like the general ethics of the field to publicly diagnose people, but if they want, I mean, I don't give a shit, really. I don't care. Um, anyways, I mean, I'm beyond caring with like honestly with anyone's opinion of me in any way at all, really, professional or otherwise. So, um, back to uh what I was saying, experiencing so many people in my life thinking that I've lost my mind. Um what is it that I have lost exactly? Like, what part of my mind has gone missing? Let's try to find it together. What is this piece? Is it the piece of my mind that just pays only attention to like um the next sort of like material gain? Like the next dollar, the next luxury to experience? Is that maybe that's what I should be paying attention to? I mean, that seems to be the case. This sort of this treadmill that so many of my people around me are on towards the next thing, the next car, the next watch. Is it have I lost my mind by having fallen out of love with that? Is that maybe what they think? I mean, I don't know. Um but they're deeply concerned about me. I mean, that much is clear. I mean, they think I've lost it. I mean, whatever, what is this thing that I've lost? Um, hmm. I mean, I mean, for what it's worth, I don't feel insane. I would describe my own emotional state as agitated. It's agitated. Um, there's a little bit of potentially controlled rage within me. Um, do I don't feel any hate. I mean, honestly, I don't really feel any hate. I'm not a hateful person. Um, so there's nothing in me, nothing that's happening now, nothing that will ever happen, um, that will cause me to act from hate. That's not what I do. I always act from love. We can talk about what I think about that. I mean, I have suggested that I think there should be hangings for those who've committed treason upon this country. Someone might say, "Well, Mike, I mean, does that not contradict? You say you're not acting out of hate. I mean, no, no. Actually, it is in fact out of love that I demand that people who have committed these high crimes against civilization itself be made example of, because I love civilization and they have chosen its opposite. So I take no joy. I take no joy in the fact that I think that certain people among us have, in some sense, decided to choose a path that separates them from, a genuine common struggle of humanity. And I imagine some of them self-diagnosing themselves as being in the center of my moral radar might see me as somewhat insane right now. But I mean, I think it's insane that you thought that, like, you could take over the world, that you could do all this, and what would happen would be that, like, you'd get to live in your little private kingdom with your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and your crypto. And you look at me and you hear me now and you say, "Mike, you seem insane. Listen to yourself." Yes, listen to me. Because people are dying, right? I mean, and people are going to die. So listen to me. I'm paying very careful attention to my own words. I'm checking myself. I'm like, do I seem insane? Do I seem insane right now? I don't think so. I mean, I think what I'm saying tracks the truth in any reasonable take on, like, what truth means. I think I know something about truth. I think I'm speaking it now. I think some of you um, are so addicted to status and wealth and feeling superior and above others. And that's so addictive, and you're all playing your little elite status games, and you think that's what life is. Like, let me tell you, I got caught up in that existence, and now that I'm on the other side of it, I can tell you it's awful, it's terrible. Like, fuck, I mean, guys, I mean, if if that's what losing one's mind is, then I suggest more people lose their minds, because um we we're in a fair amount of danger right now, as a species. We can rattle off, like, all the various ways that we're in danger. They're great and they're many, and and we can talk about that. I mean, we'll see how long it goes, but I mean, on the I mean, to try and bring this first topic of discussion, that being the object of my mental health. um I I guess thank you, my friends, for having this concern. Your concern is noted. Moving on. Anyways, I want to talk about another topic of conversation. That being anti-Semitism. I'm just going to talk about everything today. I don't really give a fuck. I'm not. I'm just going. I'm going to tell you in excruciating detail what I think, and I think a lot on the subject of anti-Semitism. I imagine I'm going to like. I mean, no one's really going to come out of this conversation unscathed. So I mean, whether you're on the left or on the right or on the center, or you're Jewish or non-Jewish or Zionist or anti-Zionist. I mean, I'm probably going to have some bad things to say about all of you. So, I mean, get ready, because I'm just going to say what I think about the subject. First of all, this sort of like discussion around whether anti-Semitism is worse on the left or the right. I mean, it just has to be said that this is like actually just a like made up reactionary conversation by elements of the right and elements of the left that feed off of each other and are by miserable people on both the left and the right, quite frankly. Let's start with the left's anti-Semitism, which, by the way, we'll get to Gaza in a second, and I think the people on the left will be very happy about what I have to say about that. But before we get to that, we're just gonna talk about the left's anti-Semitism because it's very real. I've experienced it my whole life. I mean, I've met people in my life that think these things. So sit down and shut the fuck up, because I mean, there are anti-Semitic leftists, and I'm gonna talk to you right now. This idea that like capitalism is like somehow tied to the Jewish people and the Jewish capitalists like run the world. I've heard you say this. It's very fucking bigoted. It's insane. It makes no sense. If all Jewish people disappeared tomorrow, the capitalist system that we have today would keep doing the same things it's doing. It has nothing to do with the Jewish people. I need to say this to you right now. You are like, I mean, if you are like one of those people like that, that say things like that, I mean, on the left, like I'm sorry. You are just like, a left-wing version of like, of like whatever the right-wing version of like anti-Semitism is. Like, you're fucking crazy. I'm sorry. You're insane. I will not entertain this. If you, and I see people like have like seen my criticisms of Israel, and they are many. I have many criticisms of Israel. We're going to get into them today. But like, I mean, I have seen some of these left-wing elements have tried to, come in with these like very bigoted views and try to use some of the things I've said about Benjamin Netanyahu and, his criminal regime and the Likud party and the Israeli far right. We can talk about them. But like, I'm sorry. I mean, like there are anti-Semitic leftists. They are just like, they are horrible people. They're horrible people. And like and the truth is, here's the thing. We're here in America. I have many Jewish friends, and like all of them are, as far as I can tell, are like liberals and like mostly agree with me on everything. So I don't see the connection that these like left-wing bigoted anti-Semites are talking about, right? These left-wing anti-Semites are real. We have to admit that, and they are trying to literally do the same thing that the right wing are trying to do. They're trying to group Jews in with what Israel is doing and what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing and what has happened to the Palestinian people. And that is like just not like the Jewish people's fault. It's the fault of the politics of Israel, the politicians in Israel, the Israeli far right, That is who is at fault. That is who should be held responsible, not Jewish people. So if you're on the left and you're confused about this, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now that, like, I am not on your side. If I hear this out of you, I am going to react very negatively. This is very bad. We did this, in the early 20th century. We had this thing called the Holocaust, and we're not going to do it again. We're not going, never again. I agree with that. I highly suggest, that you read Hannah Arendt. If you haven't read Hannah Arendt, read Hannah Arendt. Okay, so, sorry, it needs to be said. Let's move on to the right wing now. I'm finished with the left. Oh, all right. What are we to say about right-wing anti-Semitism? There's an aspect of like what's going on the right in the West that is, we can talk about. Some of I'm working through a manuscript, like a book on meaning, and one of the things I've been doing has been studying the Gospels, just sort of with like my own fresh eyes, just trying to like interpret them, as sort of just a sort of like in the most neutral way that I can, right? Like, kind of taking the mythologist approach to the Gospels, um, and one of the thing, and I know that it seems like I'm moving away from the anti-Semitism conversation, but I'm actually not, because obviously this idea that the Jews killed Jesus. Jesus was a Jew, right? But this like historical libel, like, we need to sort of just address. And I'm talking to somebody, and I'm not a Christian, not a practicing Christian, but I've been studying the Gospels, and and increasingly sort of just like a lot of the the deeper histories of these teachings, these moral teachings, which is what they are, right? Jesus's teachings as they're represented, like, um in the Gospels are moral teachings, and they're, and honestly, like, again, I said, I've written about this. The it's absurd. It's absurd on its face that that Jesus would. Even if the Jews did kill Jesus, if you kind of like listen to Jesus and the fact, how he met his fate, right? Jesus like would not condone anything these like anti-Jewish bigots are saying. They wouldn't, like Jesus's own teachings were one, were one of forgiveness, right? And loving something greater than yourself, right? And each other. And like this was like, this is obviously the thing about like Jesus's teachings that, like, that practicing Christians use to defend the goodness of their faith. So it's strange. It's strange that anyone who's a Christian could hate the Jewish people, like just as like a basic sort of matter of like basic Christian metaphysics, based on like assuming that you believe anything that Jesus Christ said. So this Christian nationalism, and the anti-Semitism of it. The fact that it considers itself Christian. As, once again, I'm speaking as a non-Christian, just somebody who's just like looking at what's in front of me, and trying to understand, how people who sort of proclaim to believe in Christianity and speak for Jesus. I don't speak for Jesus. I'm simply just describing what I think he was saying, like based on like my study of it. And this is going to be this is going to be right. I've written about this and I'm writing extensively about this in my book manuscript. But I mean like if someone says they're a Christian, and that like Jesus like needs you to vote for this politician or that, or Jesus would like endorse this economic system over that economic system, or like this product over that, like you are like you're a schmuck to you're a schmuck, because like Jesus would obviously not engage in any of that. He would, if he were there, he'd be like, I don't know. He would be confused at the notion that he would like endeavor to uh uh like commit his sort of moral wisdom to the discernment of material conditions like this. I mean, he didn't care about he went out of his way to like to dismiss the importance of the material world. Like so like I mean, what does this mean? Well, it means that like most of you like these mega churches and shit are like shams. I mean, Jesus would look at these mega churches and be like, I don't even I mean he didn't the Jesus's traveling ministry. I mean, like it's hard. I mean, it's hard to believe that like he would have been okay with what the Roman Empire did of his name, right? Because I mean I don't think that I mean he was. I think if it's look if Jesus look if I like I'm like I said, I'm not a Christian, but I'm just trying to say, like, based on everything Jesus's teachings as I've read them, I'm trying to imagine him coming back to earth and thinking about like what he might think, taking his teachings and what he said on his face and assuming that he believed the things he said. I think he actually might be quite confused about the ways in which he's worshipped. Um, the idolatry of him in particular. I think that would confuse him, considering that he was against, his own idolatry. So I mean, he might be somewhat confused about that. I think he'd be quite confused that there's priests and others who claim to speak on his behalf. I think he would be puzzled by that notion. Um, so I mean, like that would I mean that I mean I I I think he would I think so. I mean, like this. I mean, like look again. I'm just like, who am I to say this? Like I said, like, but that seems to me to be the case there. Um, so yeah, this idea that like you could call yourself a Christian and be an anti-Semite. You're already engaged in theological and philosophical fraudulence in the first case. It's like, I mean, your bigotry is not defensible on those grounds. Like it clearly is not. Like let's be clear. Okay? So I mean, one of the problems with like right-wing anti-Semitism, right, is it's not just, you know, conspiratorial in sort of the insane ways in which the left wing anti-Semitism is, but it's also like born of theological and philosophical fraudulence, and and I mean I don't know. I mean I know I assume I offend people when I say these things. I don't care. I don't care if I offend you. I'm sorry. I mean offense. I mean to confront you on your uncomfortable assumptions. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, now let's get to Now that we've talked about anti-Semitism, I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room, don't we? Right, the situation in the Middle East. Um, this war, and there's a backstory here. We're not going to leave the Palestinians out of this conversation. Don't worry. We'll get to them. We are in a war that historians will look back on, and they will draw a very simple conclusion. It will not be there. It will not be one of these things where there's a bunch of competing perspectives on whether or not the prosecution of this war by the Trump regime, which will be forever maligned in history, had any authority to prosecute this war. They never did. They didn't. It will be recognized that our Constitution, if you look at it, if you look at the War Powers Clause of Article 1 of the US Constitution, that it is very much, in fact, the case that Mr. Trump, 47th President of the United States in the year 2026, is engaged in a war that the Constitution does not allow for, given the fact that, like, the conditions that the Constitution sets forth for allowing the prosecution of a war, for a president to direct the armed forces of this country into a war, have not been satisfied. And that of course would be Congress explicitly authorizing it, not just failing to stop it, not just saying no. The Congress has to say yes. The yes is a constitutional requirement. That has not been forthcoming, and therefore the war is facially unconstitutional. And I might suggest the worst constitutional violation in U.S. history. The one violation that I think establishes, I think, I mean, there's no nuance here, right? This is a coup. Donald Trump has couped the U.S. government. The Pentagon, which is still legally called the Department of Defense, which is another example of what we're talking about here, is being marketed as the Department of War in violation of the statutes, and no one's stopping them. No one has stopped them from doing this. So they're the generals, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Pentagon are prosecuting a war that, like, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I assume that they teach the Constitution at the Naval War College, at West Point Academy. I would assume that there's some basic operating knowledge there about all of this. So it is surprising. I mean, I admit to being surprised that there hasn't been more resignations of the General Corps, given the fact that they are prosecuting a war that, in the first instance, I don't believe, and I think historians will see this as clearly as I am saying it to you now, that that this is not an authorized war, and that I might suggest that the failure of the chain of command to refuse these illegal orders does constitute, I think it does constitute, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the potential charges, before military tribunals, before court martials. I think, I mean, this has to be put on the table. I understand that this will offend many Americans. I know that this is something that we are not supposed to say. I understand that our armed forces are brave, and I thank them for their service. I do, but I mean, I'm failing to understand how they are continuing to prosecute this war under conditions that are clearly constitutionally illegal, that our founders would see this as such, that the world sees as such, that I mean that history will see as such, and that they are deeply inside following orders that are illegal in the first instance, and that they would, I mean, they just are. Um, I don't know what to do about that. I mean, but and I mean, it needs to be said that like Israel, the state of Israel, such as it is under the control of the Netanyahu regime, um, the Likud party, and in coalition with these far right parties in Israel, who now are allowing what are just like disgusting pogroms against the Palestinians in the West Bank. Um, and this is all happening as missiles fall from the sky. Um, this is all happening in the backdrop of what Israel has done to Gaza. The humanitarian disaster there. I must confess, I'm not even sure what the conditions are for the people in Gaza, for the innocent little children there. That for them, I can't imagine how this world looks to them, looks through those child's eyes right now. Everything that they've seen. I mean, this is this is there I mean, there must be some justice here, I think. Doesn't diminish the wrongness of October 7th. Yes, Hamas are murderous thugs. Thugs that, by the way, oppress the Palestinian people as well. I have friends from Palestine who had assassination attempts by them against them by members of Hamas because they tried to push for democracy within Gaza and the West Bank. So I mean, there is it is true. It is true. We like these evil people driven by hate complicate matters. This can't be no fair-minded person can ignore this. And so I mean looking through this, I don't know what one does with this. It's painful to think about. But I mean, the crimes against humanity here are clear. This cannot sustain. This is not becoming of any civilized people. We have to. I mean, here's the thing. If you're an American citizen, there's really only one thing you can do individually. It's that you need to take responsibility for your country. And if you want your country to mirror your values, as you should want your values embedded in your country. You know, this great poet of the American tradition, Walt Whitman, said, right, you may contribute a verse to the powerful play. And America is a powerful play. And you get to write a verse now. The verse would write is that, like, I take responsibility for myself, for all that I have done wrong, for all that I have failed to do when I ought to have done it. I take full accountability for that, and I forgive myself because I feel that I have learned by the pain of consequence that the most important thing in life is not material possessions, not status, not wealth. It is, in fact, each other. And this world has become very lonely. And I would like to start by waking up our Congress, our representatives of the people, and having them put an end to all this. That is my verse for today. On this March 22nd, 2026, in our 249th year as an independent country, nation. So, thank you. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody.